Welcome, everybody, back to the X Factor Sports Talk. We got a special episode for you guys today. We have broke down some UK legends, maybe some not so legends, some solid guys, some not so solid guys. And we got them all ranked out, and we're going to tear them up for you guys. But first, I'm joined, as always, by my two beautiful co-hosts, Troy and Caleb. Boys, how are we doing today?
I'm good.
Living great. Yes, sir. Just ready to get after it again. Like he said, it's a big Kentucky week here on the channel. It's a big Kentucky week in general, as the current team is headed to the Bahamas. We'll get to see some live action. 4 games. Cannot wait for all that. We'll be going live here for every single one of them. So make sure you stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. And, of course, turn on your noti bells, man. But, yeah, let's just get right after it, starting with Cal's first class, Daniel Orton. I guess I'll just pass this off to one of you, whoever wants to take it. Daniel Orton what was Daniel Orton? I guess is the main question. But I'll hand it off. Fred, give me your thoughts on number 33, Big Daniel Orton.
First of all, back in Lexington, man. Saw him at the gym I go to a couple weeks ago. Played some ball with him. Super nice guy. Cool guy. He was a first-round pick based off potential. In my opinion, he's an absolute flop. That would be my vote to put him there. Almost to the underperformed category, but for a guy who's, a McDonald's All-American, 5-star, I know he was in with a super talented class, but just didn't do much for us and put him on the absolute flop line.
I don't know about absolute flop. I think maybe absolute flop because he definitely should have stayed another year. Like, there was no reason he couldn't have came back. But, you got to think you're playing – he's a true center, and he's playing right next to DeMarcus Cousins. It's kind of hard to find a spot, But in my opinion, I go underperformed just because, he had a few glimpses here and there that weren't terrible. It's just he should have stayed one more year. So I'll go underperformed.
I'm going absolute flop. The dude was a top 20 recruit, averaged 14 minutes per game and averaged 3 points and 3 rebounds. Majority vote is an absolute flop. There's not too much you can rave about Daniel Orton, not too much you can even say about the kid. He was just terrible. Moving on to a player that we saw play for Kentucky last year, and he actually transferred this year, is Keon Brooks. And we've talked about him before in a video, but Caleb, I'll pass this one off to you. Keon Brooks.
I think he was a solid role player. I think we definitely saw moments where he underperformed and you wanted more out of him. And he's a part of a few Kentucky teams that didn't go as far as people were expecting. But he wasn't a bad 4 for us at times. I don't think he was underutilized, and I don't think he was solid. So I think role player is a great spot there for him.
Fred?
Yeah, I agree, man. I'll go with the role player underperformed category. I don't think he really lived up to his potential. He was definitely one of the most streakiest players, I think, in Cal's tenure here. One of his guys, he just, another guy super highly recruited, and he had, the intangibles. Guy was super athletic. He can shoot the mid. He just couldn't put it all together. Really liked the kid. I thought he was a great guy, but just on the court didn't show too much. He had the great Kansas game, but besides that, underperformed, in my opinion.
Yeah, Keon Brooks, like you said, showed some flashes where we were like, oh, maybe he's turning into his own. And then we had those moments where he came back to school and Cal was hyping him up like he's our next PJ Washington. He's going to be that next guy that comes back, is our best player on a really, really good team. And he just never really got there. Maybe it was the roster. Maybe it was, he just never really improved. He was just constantly what he was. He never really developed a consistent outside jump shot like we, could think, because he's got pretty form, nice touch. But Keon Brooks, I would go slightly more towards the underperformed. Just again, I had really, really high hopes for Keon, and a guy that spends 3 years in the program, you would expect a higher leap from a former, highly rated recruit. So former top 25 recruit. So I don't know. That's where I would roll more underperform, but that's where he slides in there. The next guy up is Johnny Giuseng. Johnny Giuseng was one of my favorite recruits. I actually saw him at the is it called the Local Taco, Fred?
Local Taco, yes, sir.
Local Taco. I saw him at the Local Taco before Big Blue Madness, his freshman year. I got nervous because his whole family was there. Didn't want to go say hi. Didn't want to interrupt his time there. But his time at Kentucky was rather short and quick. He played in 28 games, though, averaged 12 and a half minutes. But I would go underutilized. Just a guy that he was a floor spacer that just never really truly got his opportunity. Now, granted, him at UCLA, he was the marquee guy, so he got a lot of love, a lot of this, a lot of that, and of course, it looks bad on Kentucky. But that's where I would go. The underutilized. I just think a guy like him, a shooter like him, on a team like Kentucky that has these highly talented, rated, and they always are bringing in big guys. I feel like a guy like him should have a consistent role on Kentucky teams. But that's just my opinion, and I'll pass it off to one of y'all.
Right, go ahead.
Johnny was great, and kind of the classic Cal transfer thing. None of the guys who've transferred out of the program is yet to be drafted, which I think is one of the craziest, things nuggets about the guys that transfer away from Kentucky. No, he was super solid at UCLA. He's a star there. Just at Kentucky, I don't think he was ready yet. I think he was a reclass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of came in early. So, I would definitely throw him under the underutilized. Just didn't get a really, chance to show what he was about. And he definitely had that short leash. He came in, missed a three. It was like, get him
see
out.
Ya. Yeah, see ya.
So, which is, a Cal staple, and, it is what it is. But, yeah, John Giuseng definitely underutilized. I like the kid. Shouts out Local Taco. Get you a Southern Fried Taco.
Yeah, I agree. Underutilized. That's fine.
Let me get it up there. All right, so Johnny Giuseng, the first one on the underutilized. We've spaced him out pretty good here. And now next is Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles was a part of that super dynamic class back in 2014, 2015. Another guy that I think was underutilized. I'm just going to take this one. I think Trey Lyles was a kid that only played. Now, you could say underutilized for a majority of that team just because they were so great. But only started 21 games out of his 36-game career at Kentucky, 23 minutes. I mean, that just Trey Lyles was just that perfect four, I think, or perfect. The game hadn't really changed a whole lot yet because they were playing Willie Cauley-Stein, Dakari Johnson, like Cat, all those big bodies. So he was kind of in a rare era where he wasn't really a three and he wasn't like a four yet for the game of basketball. So maybe that's more why he was underutilized. But Fred, I'll give this one to you. What do you think about Trey Lyles?
Dude, he's gets so lost in the sauce from that team. It's like, oh, wait, yeah, Trey Lyles was on that team. And he was super solid. He's a guy who knocked down a lot of mid-range shots. I remember just kind of close to around the bucket. He defended well. I mean, he was still a really top, high pick in that draft. But yeah, I would definitely say underutilized as well. I really like Trey Lyles, just kind of a quiet, not this superstar, personality kid or jumped off the page, but he was super solid for a team that, went really far.
You just said he was super solid. I think he goes under overall solid. Like, I mean, with that all that talent that team had, nobody's going to really stand out. And he did what they needed him to do. His mid-range game was filthy.
Was pure.
He could block shots too, bro.
Face up and get to the rim. Like, dude, Trey Lyles is one of my favorite UK players in the Calipari Era.
I'll change. I'll go overall solid now that I broke it down from a fundamental standpoint.
Dude, I love Trey Lyles.
Yeah, he shot 54% from inside the 3-point line. I mean, that's beautiful. Now, granted, he wasn't getting a ton of shots, but yeah, we'll go overall solid because I do agree. Like, he was just one of those players that just with that type of team, it's hard. It's hard to be, anything over what he was. So I do agree. Great point, Caleb. Great freaking job, Caleb.
That's what you get over here at the X Factor.
I mean,
love me some Trey Lyles.
That's why you're here, man. But moving on to EJ Montgomery. I'm not even really going to talk a lot about this kid, but I'll just pass it over to Caleb. Caleb, what do you think about number 23, EJ Montgomery?
I thought he was going to be like another Trey Lyles type, like just tough in the mid-range. Like, he had like a nice jumper at times. I don't want to say absolute flop because he was there for a couple years, had a few moments. So I'll go underperformed just because I expected more. But I mean, I'm not sold on it. I don't know. Fred, what do you think?
I think he's an absolute flop, man. I mean, he was our top recruit from that class.
I
just
don't remember that. So
No.
okay, I agree with you.
So he just wasn't. He didn't do much, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't show really much of anything. Nothing really jumped off the page with him, and that's why I think he was a flop.
5 points, 4 rebounds in a 65-game career at Kentucky. A kid that should have really been the new age 4.
Yep.
Like, he had beautiful touch. His shot was good. Like, he had everything. He had every intangible you could ever want. 6'10", 230, like a long wingspan, great high school player, top 10 recruit, and he was terrible, absolutely awful. So yeah, absolutely, 100%. Now I don't even. What is he doing now? Playing in the G League? Like, I don't even know. So absolute flop there. And going from one flop to the next, Sasha Kalea Jones.
Yeah, flop.
Another, I don't even know what to say about this kid. I mean, shouts out to him. He's able to crack minutes in the summer league for the Lakers. Played actually pretty solid. I was pretty surprised. Just another kid that transferred, didn't get drafted, as Fred alluded to. And Fred, I'll give this one to you, Sasha Kalea Jones.
Yeah, transferred to NC State, got into some trouble. I'm not sure what the trouble was. I don't know if it was academically or whatever. I'm not going to, I don't know. So I'm not going to try to take a guess at it. But, went to NC State, got in trouble, left NC State, did the overseas route, then came back, tried to make a G League, Summer League, whatever. Yeah, just wasn't that good. He was a part of that. Another talented class that just didn't, that famous picture of all the McDonald's All-Americans like lining up to each other, like Quade Green, all of them, Winnie Gabriel, just didn't end up being any good, didn't really have a role, didn't know what he was. So yeah, definitely a flop.
Caleb, got anything to add?
There's nothing to add to that.
Yeah, nothing really to add to Sasha Kalea Jones. And I'm going to be passing this one straight off to Caleb. This was a guy that Caleb specifically requested to be in this video, Kyle Wilcher, another guy, again, transferred out. But our first champion, Kyle Wilcher, shouts out to him. Caleb, all you, brother.
It might be because he's one of my favorite UK players. I'm willing to go overall solid. And let me explain. He's playing behind Anthony Davis and Terence Jones. He didn't get his first year, he didn't get a whole lot of run. When in that championship run, there were a couple games in the tournament. He came in, hit some big threes for us. I can't remember what game it was, but he had like 8 points in either late in the first half or early in the second half.
Was it the Louisville game?
It might have been, but but my point exactly. Like, he came off the bench and hit shots when needed to. I don't know his career 3-point percentage at UK, but dude, I guarantee it was pretty high.
46. Yeah.
Like, dude, that's pretty tough. And then, he was a part of that team that made it to the NIT the next year. But I think, like, for me, overall solid is like you're playing around all these other dudes, but you played your role and played it very, very well. And I think Kyle Wilcher did that.
Fred?
Yeah, another transfer, killed it at Gonzaga. I'm going to go campus legend, dude. He is a legend around these parts, son. You talk about, dude, he's out of all the guys who've transferred, we had quite a few, man.
He's still loved. He's still loves
Kyle Wilcher. He's a good guy. Like, I saw him tweet out the other day when Kentucky and Gonzaga got lined up. He's like, yo, what do I have to do to call this game? Like, and Kentucky fans loved it. Like, people love Kyle Wilcher. I love Kyle Wilcher. He was very solid here. And he's just a likable guy. He's exactly what that 2012 team needed. And I'm going to slot him in that campus legend.
I was going to go underutilized. Because, again, one of those guys, you look at Johnny Giuseng, what did I say about him? Just a guy that should easily have a role at Kentucky. If a guy is going to shoot the ball from the outside as great as a Kyle Wilcher, like, he has to have a role on your team whenever you're bringing in 5-star big men every year. Like, this guy, and his first year he didn't play a ton, but then that second year he shot almost 4 threes a game, almost 48% from 3. Like, that guy should have a role at Kentucky. Like, I don't even care.
Well, you made the argument earlier that you could, half of these dudes on this team you could put or on this list are underutilized. So I think that's why I made the argument.
Yeah,
because it's like, look at his numbers.
I'll slide him more overall solid than I would campus legend. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But Fred does have a perspective of Lexington, though. So I give him that. I was a little surprised to hear that, though. I mean, my word. Campus legend, Kyle Wilcher.
All my homies love Kyle Wilcher, bro.
All
my homies love Kyle Wilcher.
Bro, and it's crazy how good he was at Gonzaga, too. Like, dude set the world on fire at Gonzaga.
Yeah,
he can't guard a soul. I mean, watching him try to play defense is painful. Watching him try to move his feet, but that boy can shoot it.
Yeah, that boy's got a stroke.
And he's tatted up now, so I had to give him respect. He's tatted up. He's got a sleeve.
Good for him.
Now the next player is Patrick Patterson. A lot of people say he's what changed Kentucky's program at first. He was one of the guys, high rated recruit that chose Kentucky, one of the first. So Fred, I'll pass this one over to you. Patrick Patterson. He's one of the earliest players we have on this list. What do you have to say about P-Pat?
Yeah, one of Billy's guys that stuck around for that John Wall team, that Cal's first year. I think he's a campus legend. Patrick Patterson did a lot of great things here. He's one of the top players on it. Like I said, even Calipari's first team with John Wall, like he was one of the guys that stuck out even with the highly touted freshmen. He had a great NBA career too. I mean, it just showed he had stupid athleticism, for a guy that big. He could shoot it. He could pass it. He could do everything. Rebound it. Patrick Patterson, great defender, campus legend, man. He was just one of the, like you said, a guy who turned this program back around.
Caleb?
UK legend. I think that he was one of our, like when the program was in a weird spot, he came in highly recruited and he stuck around for 4 years, was a part of that UK team. And I mean, you look, it might even be the picture we have for him. There's a picture where he's on a fast break dunk and you've got Drake in the background standing up with his arms like this, like going crazy. They brought excitement back to UK. They brought excitement back to the basketball program. And he was a big part of it. He came in with the Gillespie era. And I mean, there was no reason he shouldn't have transferred after that point, but he stuck around and played a really, really great role. And I mean, everybody loves him. So I would say UK legend.
I would more go campus legend personally. Just a guy that I am going to slide him up to UK legend. The way Caleb sold me. Caleb, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge P-Pay guy. Pro career wise, I liked him. But like the John Wall era, I was extremely young. I was 9 years old. So like looking back on that, it's hard for me to be like, form too much of an opinion without watching film and really diving into it. So just a guy that his pro career, I haven't really liked him too much. The things that he says sometimes, I really just want to punch him in the nose. Yeah. But overall right now, you sold me, man. I mean, he really did bring excitement back whenever I was doing research on Patrick Patterson. I mean, Kentucky looked like dead in the waters until Patrick Patterson decided to join us here. And of course he did stick it out for 1 year with Coach Cal. So yeah, UK legend, you sold me. Caleb, you're killing it today, brother.
Thank you. He's a salesman.
Next up, Darius Miller. He was an absolute sniper. He stuck it out all 4 years at Kentucky. Just a great role player for some really, really good teams. Darius Miller. Fred, I'll let you go. You seem to get a little excited whenever I started talking about him.
UK legend.
Yeah.
He's an X factor on that 2012 team that won the chip. Darius Miller, he can shoot it. He can do everything. You know what I'm saying?
He's like Patrick Patterson, but he was a vital part of an actual championship.
Yeah, like you need a guy.
And
like
he's
Darius
a UK
Miller.
boy. He's a Kentucky boy.
Yeah, like you need a guy like Darius Miller for a championship run, and he was exactly what we needed for that 2012 team. And another guy who's just super beloved here. Like everyone loves Darius Miller. Like Caleb said, he's from Kentucky, so we have that bias towards it. But awesome role player, awesome guy. Shouts out to you, Darius Miller.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to debate when it comes to Darius Miller. Again, a guy that stuck it out 4 years. Probably could have had a bigger role elsewhere at a small school. Probably could have been the guy. Like this dude could absolutely fill it up. Like you said, a guy that is absolutely needed whenever you're trying to make a big run. Experience, very, very calm, cool, collected. I was watching Terence Jones film one day, and I got really wooed away with Darius Miller's like low key sneaky playmaking ability. Like he would get that ball at the top of the key, he'd take a couple dribbles, draw a defender, and throw up lobs. Like he literally was everything you needed, kind of a steady heartbeat on the floor. And again, that's exactly what you need when it comes to this, and that's what we expect Severe Willer this year: just a steady heartbeat to just keep everybody calm, keep everybody collected, and just make the right play. I love Darius Miller. That's a great. I mean, I don't think there's too much to say.
He also had a very solid NBA career too.
Yeah, he carved a role. He made some money. He got a big boy bag.
Right?
Oh yeah, he got like a 4-year, $30 million deal, I believe, that 1 year. But anywho, moving on. Eric Bledsoe. Caleb, I'll give this one right to you. Cal's first real class. Eric Bledsoe.
This one's tough because it's like I feel like that first Cal class, everybody should at least be considered a campus legend for what they did for UK basketball. I'll probably go overall solid. I mean, it's kind of like you're not going to really like stand out when you're playing alongside a 18-year-old John Wall who's as quick as a deer. But I mean, he was a great shooter. He also could handle the ball for us. I think he played his role like really, really well. Didn't do too much. Like I remember one of the early games in the tournament that year, he had like 6 or 7 threes, like went perfect from the 3-point line. So I'm willing to, I think overall solid.
Eric Bledsoe, man, looking at his numbers at Kentucky, like I'm kind of like surprised at his 3-point percentage, if I'm being completely honest. But Fred, I'll pass this right over to you. What do you think of Eric Bledsoe?
Yeah, super unselfish guy. I mean, he didn't have to stick it out at Kentucky once John Wall committed. Like, he could have just been like decommit. I'm pretty sure because I think he committed before John did. But I mean, a guy, who's another highly recruited point guard, and he stuck it out. And he said, "You know what? I'm going to play next to this guy," and he did a phenomenal job of doing it. On a team who couldn't shoot at all. I mean, that is what we were lacking on that team. I mean, I'm sure his 3-point percentage was low, but it seemed high. He was a guy who we looked for even to make tough shots, and he's just a bull. I mean, just a bull. He's a guy he's super strong. I mean, look at the photo right there. He's jacked.
They call him Baby LeBron.
Baby LeBron, baby. Super
he
athletic.
had some, I was about to say, sneaky athleticism. He had some bounce.
Yeah, and he wasn't like a highly recruited guy either. Like he was, I think maybe in the 40-60 range,
Yeah, I think it was in the 50s, 52, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, he was extremely low.
Yeah.
Eric Bledsoe, I also would slide him in the overall solid.
Yeah, same. Overall solid.
Yeah, overall solid for Eric Bledsoe. And now we get into a player that was on, again, one of the highest rated recruiting classes we've ever seen at Kentucky, if not the, and that's Devon Booker. Fred, I'll go right to you. Devon Booker on that team, where would you slide him?
Underutilized, I think, for sure. Actually didn't shoot that well from 3. I don't think his 3-point percentage was too high. Obviously, we didn't know Devon Booker was going to be Devon Booker. He was the 6th man on that team, and it worked. I mean, they made it to a Final Four run, but on a team that loaded, it's hard for a guy to be a star or like an overutilized guy just with the ball in his hands all the time. But we saw flashes of it, and he was super good. So I like Devon Booker, but I do think he was underutilized on that team. But I mean, how could you not be? Everybody was.
Caleb?
Troy, read me off some of his stats.
So at Kentucky, he was 10 points, 2 rebounds, and assist. He was 41% from downtown. A turnover again. Yeah, 47% from the field. He took about 7.5 shots a game.
I'll go underutilized as well. Then I was waiting to see.
It was way lower than that.
Yeah, I was waiting to see what you knew what he was going to do. He was going to come in and be a score first kind of guy. Yeah. And he was that. So,
his per 40, it was 19 points a game, and 4 rebounds, 7 threes attempted a game, 3 makes, so right at over 40%. So his per 40 minutes or per 40 numbers rather, really really solid.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll go underutilized.
He was a guy like you knew in college, like he was going to be good, but like his game was just going to flourish in the pros. Like once he got to that level and. I mean, look at him now.
Yeah, just again, one of those guys. I would slide him under a really, really good role player but we will slide him to underutilized. I'm not a huge, you guys know how I feel about D-Book now, but just not a huge fan. But let's move on to a guy that I absolutely love, Alex Poitras. Just a guy, again, man, just that steady heartbeat, it seemed, always on the floor, super athletic, rebounded the ball extremely well. Just a guy I think that every good team needs. He doesn't need a whole lot of shine, doesn't need this, doesn't need that, doesn't really want it. Just plays his role extremely well. Caleb, I'll go right to you. Alex Poitras.
I think role player. Like nothing like stood out. He was a freak athlete. But I think a role player. What year was it? His sophomore year or was it freshman year where we weren't very good? Was that with like he came in with Archie Goodwin, didn't he?
I think that was his freshman year, wasn't it?
So I guess you expected more out of him. It's like that, especially that year we weren't very good. Didn't really like produce as much as people were hoping. But like he had a few moments. He was very tough and very athletic. So I would say role player, but that's just me. Fred.
Yeah, I think he definitely underperformed in my opinion. I mean, he's a super highly recruited guy. He had crazy talent, but just couldn't really put it together. He did, he had that major injury.
I was about to say,
unfortunate during, he was on that Karl Anthony Towns, Devon Booker team, and he got injured. Like, that's what people forget. Like, we had him waiting in the wings. Like, imagine if he was healthy, what he could have done for that team. So, but yeah, underperformed in my opinion. Even in his opportunities, I didn't really see, he didn't really prove that much to me. So, underperformed. I like Alex, but just didn't put it together.
Yeah, I think if he would have stayed healthy during that cat, I think that would have been a guy that just needed off the bench. Just a really, really, like I said, steady guy. Like, you knew what you were going to get from him. It may not have been great, but you knew exactly what you were going to get. So I'm a little bit higher on Alex Poitras than probably you guys. I probably would have gone with overall solid just because I think he put together a really, really strong Kentucky career. But now to a guy that, I mean, what can't you say about this guy's tenure at Kentucky? 1 year, almost averaged 20 points a game. Malik Monk. I'm just going to say my vote. He's a campus legend. I think he put together one of those runs as an individual in that 47-point performance against North Carolina. I think that was just one of the most fun games I've ever watched, ever witnessed. I mean, that shot to end the game on top of his 47-point performance with 16 seconds left, the guts, the nuts, it was just unbelievable. Malik Monk, to me, is a campus legend. I'll slide this to Caleb. Caleb, what do you think about Malik Monk?
I mean, your argument makes really like a lot of sense. I was never really high on Malik Monk. It might be a high. I didn't really care for his game. I mean, obviously, when he goes off for 47, it's like, okay, wow, that's amazing. But that's, what I mean, his shot selection at times wasn't for me and stuff like that. But I don't really have a horse in this race. I'll if Fred has a different answer, I'll be the deciding vote. But I'll pass it to Fred.
That is the hottest take I've ever heard.
That's what I was about to say.
One of our best scores we've ever had here. This dude was insane. When we needed a big shot to go in, that man was putting it in, son. Campus legend, man.
Yes.
And he's riding that line of being a UK legend, in my opinion. Like, this dude was insane for that. I mean, he was part of my favorite team in the Calipari Era, which was the Malik Monk Fox Bam team. Like, that team was so fun to watch. And part of that was Malik Monk. Like, that dude he hit tough shots. That is on teams that didn't perform as well. Like, we missed guys who could just go and get a bucket. And like last year, Malik Monk could go and get a bucket at any time. He was a freak athlete. But once he got to Kentucky, we saw he could shoot and do all these other things. And, I thought he was going to be even better in the pros. But, obviously he's just a kind of a role player. But at Kentucky, man, superstar.
Nothing phased him. Nothing phazed him. No. He was willing to go.
He's got that dog in him. He got that.
Yeah, for real. He does have that dog in him, and I love this time here. I can't believe you're a little lower on him, Caleb. I mean, he was just fun on a fun team. I
want to say it was like one of his earliest games as a freshman. He had a few possessions in a row. It was really, really bad shot selections and like terrible misses. And once you it's hard to win me over after that. I mean, like I said, though, it's like when you go for 47 against North Carolina, it's like, yeah, I can appreciate that and be like, wow, that's really amazing. But like, still, I'm like, he was a great scorer, but they're like, if he wasn't hitting, he was taking terrible shots, and
I
just
was
wasn't
okay with
for
him
me.
taking terrible shots. I didn't care. I mean,
I-
even in the game we lost North Carolina in the tournament, like we were down 3. He was the one who tied it. Like came down and hit a tough shot to tie it.
It was a
I'm not
disgusting
saying
shot.
he wasn't
Yeah.
good. I'm just saying, like, watching his shot selections at times wasn't. I turned me off at times.
Moving on.
I'll stand by it.
That's a hot take.
We'll
That's
agree to
that's
disagree.
Yeah, I agree to disagree. But a guy, Kelton Johnson, a weirdo at Kentucky, if I might say, a guy that I think flourished outside of Kentucky, like in the pros, more than he did at Kentucky. But looking at his numbers, they really aren't that. They really are a lot better than I expected. 13.5 points, 6 rebounds. Just a guard that can rebound. Fred, I'll pass this over to you. Kelton Johnson.
Another McDonald's All-American. Obviously, tough kid. But I'm going to go role player underperformed, in my opinion. I don't think he was what he – like we needed him to be more for that team, I think. And he just – at times I felt like he kind of just shied away. He hit tough shots. He rebounded well for a guard, like you said, but just wasn't at the level I thought he would be when he got here. And like you said, a guy who really flourished once he got to the NBA. He also got drafted by the perfect fit for him in San Antonio. And now you see he's got a gold medal. He got a payday. So I'm happy for him. I always liked the kid, just didn't put it together, in my opinion, on the floor.
Yeah, I agree. You look at him now, he's a 4 in the NBA. He's got the size, or like he was put on a lot of muscle. He's a good athlete. When he was at UK, he was still a 3. I just don't think he was comfortable playing that role. He couldn't shoot. Like I very, very well. Nothing stood out from his game, in my opinion, other than he was a really solid athlete and he was a lunatic. So I think a role player.
And I think it's part of Cal's. I'm not going to say Cal's fault, but just kind of how he does. He kind of puts those bigger wings at the 3. Just kind of what he does. Even though if they're a 4, I think that's what I'm worried about with Chris Livingston this year. But we'll see.
We will see, and we move on from Kelton Johnson, underperformed. I don't think there's too much I could add there, and we move on to a guy that, I mean, we like to say Patrick Patterson brought some energy. How about this guy, John Wall? Media attention was insane. I just remember as a kid, one of my earliest memories of watching Kentucky, watching this kid fly up the court, make an unbelievable play at the rim, just attacking the bucket. Insane quickness, insane speed. I'm gonna let you guys handle this one though. Fred, go right to you. John Wall.
I mean, he turned our program around. I mean, our program was in the dumps. Cal got here. He was Cal's guy. Got the number. He got him here. And look what happened. That team took off. John Wall, UK legend. Dude's the quickest, most powerful guard I've seen. Like that dude is gross. The things he did for Kentucky. He made it cool again. Like he just put our program on a trajectory I thought we'd never go again. Thank you, John Wall, because you saved Kentucky basketball.
I think there should be a tier above UK legend, and it should be living legend, and it should just be John Wall.
Mm-hmm.
The man has a rap. The man has a rap after a dance he did. I just think there's nothing that you, like Fred said, that you can't. His excitement to not only bringing back to UK basketball, but just him, period. Like watching him in those days where he was just so fast, so athletic, going coast to coast behind his back and dunking. Dude, just insane. UK legend, unreal.
Yeah, not much to subtract from that. Again, just an absolute insane basketball player that we got the joy of watching. And again, changed program. So shouts out John Wall. We love you, man, here. But now to a guy that's rather interesting, Ashton Higgins. Caleb, I'll give this right over to you because I don't think you're a huge Ashton guy, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I can pass it right over to you.
No, I liked Ashton Hagans. He has a dog in him defensively. I'll go role player / underperformed. I think offensively, everybody knows where his struggles were, but defensively, I mean, that he could keep anyone in front of him. I mean, he was very, very tough. I don't know. I hear a lot of people have a lot more hate for him, and I'm not that serious about it. I mean, I guess I can understand where people come from, but like I said, he stuck out defensively for me, and I appreciated that. So I would go role player.
Fred?
Kentucky's that year against North Carolina. Ashton Higgins was inside of Kobe White. I mean, that man was terrified to bring the ball up. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
He had like remember he like got the inbound and like fumbled it out of bounds. Like he was scared of Ashton Higgins. This man was insane defensively, but underperformed. He was a top-rated point guard coming in that class, had no offensive ability, but my God,
he reclassed?
Yeah, he was reclassed. Could he not just sit on somebody? And I'm a defensive guy, and he was in there, son.
Yeah.
I love Ashton Higgins. I was like, but he also, he kind of had the personality issues. He didn't show up for that Florida game at the end of that year, whatever. But shouts out to you, Ashton Higgins. I like you. Clampy McClamperson.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Higgins guy. I really, really liked him that year. I thought he was perfect for that team. And then again, he just kept underperforming. But again, his defense was something that you could always count on. It was always there. He always gave 100%, was a pesky guy. He was kind of like those Jose Alvarado's types before, they made it big in the league. So, unfortunate for him, he hasn't carved out a role, anything post Kentucky career, but shouts out to him for what he did here. So moving on to a guy that we've spoken highly of, his teammate there, Malik Monk. How about Darren Fox, his running mate? Fred, right to you.
I'm gonna go campus legend. He's really, really close to that, that level of UK legend. I loved Darren Fox, another guy who's right up there with John Wall's speed. And he cooked, man. I the game that really, stands out to me is that UCLA game in the tournament where he just took over that game, took over Alonzo Ball, and I really like him. I think he is my favorite player in the Cal era, but definitely campus legend. He just played the game just so smooth and fast. Like, it was just so fun to watch.
I'd go campus legend. He was like the modern version, and it's modern, but he was like John Wall 2.0, like athlete, fun, exciting to watch. Like Fred said, when he went right at Lonzo Ball, dude, I ate up all of that. I was like, I loved it. So yeah, I'll go campus legend.
Yeah, I mean, again, I could rave about that team. If we did like a tier chart for Cal's teams, this team would be right up there at the top. Like, they were just so much fun to watch. And Darren Fox and Malik Monk, they are now side by side in our little tier list here, and that's where they belong, and that's where they are in the league right now.
Yeah,
Kentucky fans, have fun. Let's watch the Kings. Let's root on the Kings this year. Moving on to Dominique Hawkins. Dominique Hawkins, just a look at that smile. I wanted to make a picture that highlighted, I think, his best attribute, and that was his pretty smile. Just a guy that I enjoyed watching. Had that spirit about him that I just wanted to root on. Just seemed like a great kid. Caleb, I'll go right to you. Dominique Hawkins,
UK legend. Another Kentucky boy. Listen, bro, he stayed around for all 4 years, and everybody was so happy to see him getting big minutes and being productive. Dude, it brought a smile to my face when that dude was playing well. I would say overall solid, because I mean he didn't get a whole lot of run his first couple of years, then started to come in and produce and played really well, and did what we needed him to do. Didn't do too much and was okay with the role and stuck around for 4 years. And I mean, I think overall solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna go overall solid too. I really like Dominique Hawkins. I mean, he won SEC tournament MVP like that, 2017 on that Darren Fox team. Like, that dude was so big for that team. My man was clampy. Like, he was, dude, I love Dominique Hawkins. Just another guy who's still in Lexington today, like just kicking it, like a guy you see around town. Like, he's just a super good kid and Kentucky legend. But in a Kentucky, the state legend. I wouldn't say Kentucky basketball legend. Just, you got too much dip on your chip, but
you both got so nervous when I said that.
I heard UK legend. I said, "Whoa, whoa, dude, averaged 2 points on his career." But shouts out to him. I mean, yeah, just a guy again, that fun-loving spirit. I can always get behind a kid that just has a great spirit, especially whenever you're lasting 4 years at this highly rated of a program. Like that's hard to do. That's a lot of work to put in and not really see a lot of fruits of your labor. But just a great kid. I would also slide him maybe under like a role player. Maybe if we had a tier that says like star role player, just a guy that we all could get behind. So God, stupid Troy should have had that. But Dominique Hawkins, overall solid. But now moving on to one of my favorite players in the Cal era, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a kid that, not a lot of people were high on coming into that season. And it was a weird year that I remember. It was just not a lot was really fun about that team. And then Shai just found his way.
Quade Green starting over him at the beginning of the year?
Yeah. And then Shai just kind of, once he got his opportunity, he took it and ran. You want to talk about an unorthodox approach and just a craftiness about him that, I mean, you would be like, how in the world did he just get that layup off? And he just found a way to do it. He was so crafty. I think I've said it before. He was Luka Doncic-esque, not nearly at the level that Luka does it, but just esque, like just the way that he just footwork, his body mechanics, the way that he works his body, works his physicality, the way he creates space and finishes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I could rave about him, but I'll pass it over to Caleb. Caleb, what do you think about Shai?
He's one of my top 5 favorite players of all time. It was early in that season. He was coming off the bench, not getting a ton of run. And I remember watching him have the ball in his hands for 2 possessions and make smart decisions. And I looked at whoever's watching the game with. I was like, I like this guy a lot. Like, you haven't seen anything. I was like, oh no, I've seen enough. I like this guy a lot. And as the season went on, he stood out and performed really, really well. So I would say overall, underutilized actually. Because I mean, when you're getting Quade Green starting over you, I mean, come on now. Like he does the things that like I think casual basketball fans don't see or don't appreciate. But like if you know the game a little bit or if you've played long enough, like the stuff he's doing and how well he's controlling the game. Underutilized for me.
Fred?
I mean, best player on that team. I mean, a guy we didn't even think was going to be, what kind of role he's going to play. He's the lowest, I think, recruit on that team. He decommitted from Florida, committed late. Like, yeah, I'm going to go underutilized as well, man. I mean,
like, I think there's
there's
a realistic world where we're looking at Shai being another guy on the transfer list. Like if he didn't have like a great game early in the season or something, like I think there's a realistic world where Shai doesn't stick it out and goes somewhere else. And we're talking about him like what could have been,
like Quade doesn't get hurt. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I just think he had the size, he had the IQ, has the skill. I mean, come on, man. That dude was a solid.
Yeah, 6'6" point guard, averaged 14.5 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal and a half. Like he just was what he was, man. Just overall, I would go overall solid. Just a kid that was just overall incredible. And then once he found his role, I mean, he averaged almost 34 minutes a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, underutilized, I think is a good fit for him. So now moving on to PJ Washington, a kid that struggled early on in his Kentucky career. I wouldn't say struggled, but just wasn't what we thought. Came back and really, really showed how much work he put in. I would slide him towards the overall solid personally, but Fred, I'll pass this over to you. PJ Washington.
Yeah, a guy who made an incredible leap from freshman to sophomore year. I would say overall solid. I think he was an incredible talent. I mean, he did so much for that team his second year. And that team was a lot of fun to watch. And he came back after a guy who was in that Shai class. And, we all remember the tournament where he missed all those free throws and, the fans were killing him, but, he came back, he, kept his head high and he improved his game and he worked himself into a lottery pick and a guy who really was a leader and an overall just unit on that team. So shouts out to you, PJ. I really like him. Brittany Renner. Ooh.
Caleb?
Baby mama. Sorry. Whatever.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, yeah.
I was trying to be funny.
I would. I
swing and a miss.
I think if there was maybe a category between role player and overall solid, I'd probably throw him there. Like, not obviously not underutilized because he wasn't underutilized, but I just think because of how bad his freshman year was, then coming back and performing that well, like, I mean, the development is a big part of it, and overall solid's fine with me.
I think like on this list, in terms of players that came back and improved, I think there's like 3 or 4 that you could throw into a category of their own. Like you think, and we have some moving forward, so I'm not going to say their names, but just guys that you put in the work and you just like fell in love with them as a person, them as a player, and what they did for us. So I agree. PJ Washington, he was fun to watch on that weird but fun team, and PJ, shouts out to him. Now moving on to a guy that I absolutely love, Aaron Harrison, a guy that I believe is a UK legend just based off his run in the tournament. I don't think it's quite overstated. I mean, he hit a huge shot against Louisville to move us on to the Elite Eight. Then against Michigan in the Elite Eight, buries a huge game winner to move us on to the Final Four. Then in the Final Four versus Wisconsin, hits a huge shot. And that is the picture that you see right there. UK legend. His run was unbelievable. And actually, I saw this morning, was the leading scorer on the highly talented 2014-2015 team. Yeah. Fun fact for you. So Aaron Harrison, to me, UK legend. I'll pass this over to Caleb. Caleb, what do you think about Aaron Harrison?
Is he a college basketball legend? Like, think about every March Madness video for the rest of history will have at least one of his shots.
Have all 3 of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, the balls on that man. Like, you got to think the internet. Like, let's go back. Let's go back to Twitter around that time. The memes going around of that man were insane. And it's like the shoe, like I remember the shoes he was wearing that tournament run. Like, think about that. Like, people were, he was wearing Space Jam 11s, which are like very, very popular Jordan shoes. And people were saying these will now be known as the Harrison 11s for the rest of it. Like, bro, I mean, that dude was a dog. Big onions on that man. UK legend, no doubt.
Fred?
Never seen anything like it. Never. I don't think we ever will see anything like that. I mean, are you kidding me? 3 straight games where we gave him the ball and said, hey, go win it for us. And he did. Like, and that team was what, an 8 seed? Like,
yep.
Dude. Like, and that run was incredible. Like, unfortunately, we didn't take home the championship. But man, Aaron Harrison, I think it's gone like under win. Like, we quit kind of talking about it, but like, do you know how impressive that is? Like, that will never be done again. I promise you that.
It's unbelievable. Hey, Aaron Harrison. I mean,
UK legend.
Yeah.
Onions.
Oh, yeah. Onions. Huge onions.
Moving on now to a big fella, Bam Adebayo. Fred, I'll give this right to you. You've raved about this team, so I'll pass Bam right over to you. What do you think?
Underutilized, I think. Underperformed.
I was willing to make the argument to put him with his class and put him in campus legend because I think Bam Adebayo is like one of the most beloved UK players in the Calipari era.
I think
everybody just absolutely loved him.
I thought he didn't perform as well as I thought he would in UK though. Like, he was definitely overshadowed by.
He's got like an unorthodox kind of game, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, but another guy who flourished in the pros. Though. Like, we did not see the Bam that we see. Well, I mean, you can say that about anybody, but really, I didn't even see I didn't think he'd be a defensive player of the year candidate. Like, I wouldn't say. I'd say underutilized. That'd be my vote. I like Bam. Love Bam. I think he's great.
Caleb?
Troy, I'll ask you. I kind of made the argument for campus legend just a little bit.
He shot 60% from the field, 13 points, 8 rebounds. I mean, a block and a half a game. I love Bam. I think I would sandwich him in with overall solid. If we got one vote for legend, one vote for underutilized. I would kind of just squish him into the overall solid category.
Put him in first at overall solid. Put him at the front.
Hey, we got to put John Wall first, the UK legend, by the way. Got to. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. All right, a little work there,
this.
But
I love this.
But Bam, just an overall solid player at Kentucky. Didn't really do too much to make him, in my opinion, a campus legend. I think I like your argument though, where his love towards the program now.
Like, think about when they lost and the three or him and Darren Fox just arms around each other, bawling their eyes out. Everybody was so sad. So sad.
Yeah, and Bam doesn't crack campus legend quite, but I think this next guy may have an argument. Tyler Ulis. I mean, just an absolute. You want to talk about? I know Fred barked earlier. You want to talk about an absolute dog, the heart of a champion. 5'9" this point guard was. You ask any player, or you ask any like person, older person. I know my grandparents. I'm like, who was your favorite? Tyler Ulis. Like anybody that just has a heart that watched this game is like, I love Tyler Ulis. Everything that you should want to be on the basketball court in terms of being a dog. You know, not caring about your size, not caring about this, not caring about that, just going out there and competing. I could rave about Tyler Ulis, just a fun guy to watch. But I'll pass this over to Fred. Tyler, what do you think about the short king, Tyler Ulis?
UK legend, man.
Wow.
UK legend.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you.
Best point guard in the Cal era. Besides Wall. No, you know what? Wall did different things. Tyler Ulis, incredible. Love him. Like you said, he played with so much heart of a lion. Like my man did it, bro.
Caleb, you got anything to add?
Shoot it. Do everything.
Tyler Ulis is my number one.
Dude,
All time. Oh, UK period, dude.
Yeah,
A dog. Like,
Dude.
definition of a dog.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think there's anything you can say like that justifies how much of a dog he was. Like he literally like didn't back down to anything. Like that heart of a champ. He's still around UK. Coach Cal gives him a ton of love.
Yeah.
I just love Tyler Ulis.
Moving
on to Marquis Teague. Marquis Teague was a point guard on the championship winning team, which is kind of weird whenever you look back on it, that he was the guy. Caleb, I'll pass this to you because I'm pretty sure you're a Teague guy, aren't you?
I mean, I've showed him love. I don't know if I'm a Teague guy. Like I think that year he was number 1 or number 2 when it came to point guards in the nation. By the time we won the championship, so I would go overall solid. I think he performed pretty well for us times that we needed it. There was he didn't have like his 3-point shot wasn't fantastic, but being the point guard on a championship team, playing alongside Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd Gilchrist and Daron Lamb, I would go overall solid. I would show him love.
Yeah, I love Marquis Teague. You know, I thought he was exactly the point guard we needed for that team. We didn't need a ball dominant, guy like Wall or a guy like that. But Marquis Teague was perfect for what we needed. Yeah, I would definitely say overall solid.
He wasn't ball dominant, but if he needed to be, he could.
Yeah. Like he definitely a guy who, like, at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh God, and then he got, and then I was like, oh, it just took him a while. Okay, I was like, oh, this is what we have to get used to. Freshman, got it.
Yeah, I think he's perfect for the overall solid. Yep. Now we keep it moving to a guy that was a highly, highly rated recruit. I think a lot of people thought he was headed to Duke.
You put your thumbs down,
and then he came to
get out of here.
I am not a Kevin Knox guy. Everybody that knows me knows it. I would put him underperformed, even though looking at his numbers, you're like, how in the world could he underperform? I feel like he just never stepped up in the big moments when we needed him to. He was very, very slow out of the gate, which I understand, but he just never had one of those moments that I could be like, that is a 5-star kid. Like, that is a top-tier guy. And we've seen it unfold in his NBA career. He's absolutely terrible, has been nothing but short of just being super inconsistent. I mean, Fred, I'll pass this to you since you seem like you're going to defend him. I mean, where would you even put him?
I mean, if we're talking the West Virginia game, I'm putting him UK legend.
Jesus Christ.
I thought he was fine, bro. He didn't, he wasn't like what he was supposed to be. So yeah,
exactly. So we
but I don't. Yeah, he said, "Hey, listen." Did you cut me off? Golly, he was fine. Did he underperform? Yes. Was he a bum? No.
I didn't like him.
They asked him. I guess it was going into his rookie year. They asked him who the GOAT is, and he said Kevin Durant. And ever since then, I was just like, I don't like that guy.
Yeah. Ever since when he wore the Fortnite jacket on draft day, I was like,
yeah, bro, get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah. Again, we've kind of seen who he is unfold throughout his NBA career. His numbers are solid, but he didn't really do anything to tickle my fancy. Moving on to Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Michael Kidd Gilchrist, another champ, another champion. Michael Kidd Gilchrist. I mean, just a kid again that could defend, like I see Fred doing this little dancey dance over there. But he only averaged a steal a game. Ironically, averaged 12 points, 7.5 rebounds. Again, a champion. Fred, I'll give this to you. Michael Kidd Gilchrist,
campus legend. Michael Kidd Gilchrist was in what? Make that face at me.
Wow.
What?
I just can't believe that.
Dude was incredible here. What are you talking about? Steals don't make you a good defender.
I that's not what I was saying.
He kept people in front. He defended the rim.
I said he was a good defender.
And KG. Campus legend.
Caleb?
I think I was going to go campus legend as well. I mean,
Caleb. Yeah,
he was the number 2 recruit for us that class, and then you come in and win a championship. I think he was really beloved. I'm interested to hear your argument because
Troy.
I don't know. He
where were you going to put him?
I would put him on an overall solid. I don't think you guys are, being too far fetched, but I just think like campus legend, like
I just think he was very solid, but you got to add to
when you think of campus legend,
he was beloved.
When you think of campus legend, though, you think of Malik Monk, Darren Fox. Like I'm not sitting.
I think he was just as loved as those two, if not more.
Not to me.
He won a championship.
Yeah, I mean, you could put everybody that won a champ, I guess, or a ship in the campus legend, but.
Throw Kyle Wilcher up in campus legend, then I'm cool with that.
I'm a little surprised, but we'll move on to a guy I know that Fred loves, Brandon Knight. Just a guy, man. He was an absolute dog. Fred, I'll just pass this right over to you. Brandon
UK
Knight.
legend. Brandon Knight is a University of Kentucky legend. That man made shot after shot. He carried that team to the Final Four. That man was incredible. I love you, Brandon Knight. Mwah. He can score, dude. He was a dog. Literally carried that team.
Troy, I want to hear what you have to say.
He said no.
I don't think he's a UK legend. I think that you think of like UK legend. I mean, look at the names we have up there. I mean, those guys all had. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. I'd go overall solid. I just a guy that I think again was just overall incredible. Like he was just super solid.
How about because I wasn't leaning towards UK legend. I was leaning towards campus legend, and I'll meet you guys in the middle and go campus legend. I think
that's where I'll meet.
He's behind Aaron Harrison. He's the second clutchest player, right?
Yeah, dude, he had that whoopie.
Like that shot he hit against Ohio State will play in my mind forever. Like I loved Brandon Knight. I loved John Wall for the excitement, but then when it came to Brandon Knight, it was just something different about him that I loved even more.
His bag was deep.
I would go Brandon Knight as a campus legend.
I'll be all right with that. Just not a UK legend, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Moving on to a guy I would slide right in the underperform. I think you look at Isaiah Briscoe. You think of a guy that, I'm not going to say that we really anticipated him to. I mean, he was a top 15 recruit. Just never really, he is what he is. He had that iconic. I don't know if you guys have seen his most recent interview at the Big Three. Absolute comedy. I'm not even sure what he was talking about, but he was talking about his girl and how she said he looked like somebody and how he's like so much more superior than that guy. So he had to come out here and get buckets to show her. I don't know.
That's why I love Isaiah Briscoe.
I knew you were Isaiah Briscoe guy.
He is a dog.
I'm gonna send it right to you.
Like he's like Ashton Hagans type. Was he a better defender than Ashton Hagans? No, he was a solid defender though. I don't know what it was. I loved his game. When others didn't really care for him, I loved it. He was shifty. I mean, he couldn't shoot all that well, but like he trusted when he had the ball in his hands, especially coming back his second season. I would go. Okay. Where did you put him? You put him underperformed.
Yeah.
I would put him as a role player. Just I don't know though. It's so tough because I don't think he was solid. But I don't think he was like a role player. but I would put him towards the top of the role player list just because I liked his game a lot. And I trusted him with the ball in his hands, crafty around the rim. Fred.
Underutilized. Dude, I loved Isaiah Briscoe. One of my favorite UK players. That man had that hog in him. Listen, that man could defend. He's so crafty. Played great right next to Fox and Monk. Like, my man was got a triple-double. Oh, dude, I loved Isaiah Briscoe.
Triple-double.
I don't know about underutilized just because I feel like his game.
He had every opportunity, too.
He had the game, like his game, he needed guys that could score around him. Like if he underutilized, in my opinion, is like as we saw with like Johnny Giuseng, like you go somewhere else and you're the guy. Like I just don't see him as the guy anywhere else. So I think we're very, very solid role player.
Yeah, he's tough. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, I slid him right ahead of Ashton there. I don't know if that's how we're doing this, but that's how I just did it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Cool with me.
But Briscoe, to me, a little bit of an underperformer. But to my guy,
I can see it. But I loved him.
Moving on to my guy, my favorite player in the Cal era, just an absolute dog. Again, I had to flip on Terence Jones film just to remind myself why I loved him so much. And let me tell you, I was reminded. Just an absolute pit bull. To me, I don't know where you guys are going to slide him. To me, I mean, he's obviously a UK legend to me, but in terms of this, I would probably slide him as a campus legend. Just a guy that just went out there and competed, man. Pit bull, got downhill. He could space the floor like sneaky well. I think that he was a little bit before his time. I think if he was to come out now, I think he'd be better suited for a solid NBA career. He was like a Julius Randle before Julius Randle was able to really come out there. They have similar games. Got downhill extremely well. Could finish at the cup. Had a motor on him. Like he was just a kid that I loved watching, and obviously a champion. So shouts out to my guy Terence Jones. I mean, I could talk about him for a while, but I'll slide it to you, Caleb. Where do you slide number 3, Terence Jones?
Underperformed.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I would say overall solid. Just because I mean, like I think he's your favorite player, so you're gonna show him that extra love.
Oh yeah,
like I did with Kyle Wilcher. He came back that second year, played alongside Anthony Davis very well. There was a few things with his game, especially with his freshman as a freshman that I wasn't crazy about, but nonetheless, I liked him for sure. So I would say number 1 in overall solid above Bam.
Fred?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely overall solid. I think he was before his time. Like I think, nowadays, like what he would be, it would be like a point forward. Like I feel like he was kind of like had that, kind of a line going for him. And yeah, he was super tough. I really like Terence Jones.
I think just him showing that he was willing to come back and then take a step back was just showed what he wanted and his priorities, which I just think goes far and away. And again, to me, he's a campus legend. I mean, we got Michael Kidd Gilchrist and campus legend. And we're not going to show a champion some love. Anyway, moving on.
K Gilchrist won a chip too.
Yeah, but come on now. Okay, Karl Anthony Towns, a catalyst for, I think you could, if there's a guy that you could ever say was so good yet so underutilized, I think that Karl Anthony Towns is probably at the top of the list when it comes to underutilized. So I'm interested to see where we slide him, because obviously just a great class, great team, great player. Caleb, I'll go right to you. Karl Anthony Towns.
It's weird. Like obviously because he's really, really solid. I'm not the biggest guy in the pros now. But I'm trying to take that perspective out of it. I guess underutilized is fine with me because but he was solid too. That's so difficult, but he could have done a lot more given the opportunity. So I'm underutilized for me.
I have a question before I pass this over to you, Fred. I want to quiz you. Not really quiz you guys. I just want to questionnaire you guys. How many minutes, without looking, how many minutes per game do you think he played? Like, obviously, we know the platoon stuff, but like if you were just to be a basic fan, he's a top-rated recruit. How many minutes do you think he would play?
25.
18.
Yeah, he played 21 minutes. And you look at some of these players at Kentucky that were highly rated, highly recruited. All these guys averaged over 32, 33 minutes a game. Like this guy played 21.1 minutes per game.
And he's still the first pick of the draft.
Unbelievable. 21 minutes? I don't care what we were trying to do. Fred, I'll pass this to you.
It worked for 38 straight games. Did it not?
I mean, it did, but come on. Like, come on.
Super unselfish. Dude, I just remember against Notre Dame in their Elite Eight, what he did to Zach Augustus. Like, he literally got the ball every single time, drop-stepped him, and just put everything on his head. I've never seen anything like, I've never seen a more dominant game from a big in college. Literally just, well, besides Oscar, but like they throw it to him, just probably had 30 in that game. Like, that's when I knew I was like, oh, this kid's number one pick in the draft. Cool. So.
Yeah, literally one of the best post-up players I think we've ever seen at Kentucky.
And now he doesn't want to get in the post, so that's funny.
Which is crazy.
He's still a great, he's a phenomenal player in the NBA. So.
Moving on to a player that was just supposed to be extremely, extremely good on a, but obviously some situations occurred that you can't really are out of his control. But anyway, I'll just pass this right over to you, Fred. Brandon Boston Jr.
He's a flop. He's that team. I feel bad for them. They went through a COVID year where they didn't get to practice with each other. They couldn't really hang out with each other. So they couldn't really build team chemistry on or off the floor. So really unfortunate circumstances, but he's still, even in when he got minutes, man, he was just not good. Like, he couldn't hit a shot at all. And he was a guy who was supposed to come in and be a shot maker. And he was a shot taker, but not a shot maker. So big flop in my opinion.
I'm willing to agree. I think there was a lot of hype with him, and it just wasn't all there.
I'm going to go as far to say as he was our number one flop. Like, I think when you look at a guy, he was a top 5 rated recruit.
Yeah. You're not wrong, man.
Was supposed to be this.
Wait, no, there's one more ahead of him, but yeah, he's number one flop.
But like literally, oh yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. But literally, just a guy that was supposed to come in here, give us an elite level of shot making, like you said, and he shot 30% from the field or 35% from the field. Like that's just not getting it done. I don't care COVID or not. You can still try to put the ball you could still shoot. I mean, that shouldn't take that away. Caleb, you got anything to add on Brandon Boston? Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to a guy that was an incredible shot maker, Jamal Murray. I'll just pass this right over to you, Caleb. What do you think?
Overall solid.
Mm-hmm.
Him with Tyler Ulis, dude, I loved it.
That team underperformed though.
Yeah,
but it was because they had one guy that didn't perform.
He shot the ball really well. It was exciting offensively. Him and Tyler Ulis played together really, really well. I think overall solid. Had the celebration to go with it. Everybody loved it. So overall solid. I would say it doesn't really matter, but I would say like second or third and overall solid. Fred?
Overall solid. I mean, another guy who we saw it in college, but then went to the pros and was even better. I mean, dude, I always think the one Jamal Murray highlight I love is when he punched on that dude against South Carolina, just right on his mouth hole. So yeah, shouts out to you, Jamal Murray. He was so much fun to watch. I mean, he shot
averaged 20 points per game at Kentucky. Just an absolute stud.
Is that the highest under Cal?
I believe it is.
Monk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he averaged 0.2 points higher than Malik Monk. But a 40% shooter, downtown shooter. I mean, what can you not say about Jamal Murray? Just put the ball in the bucket. Moving on, James Young, a player that kind of gets swept under the rug, I feel like, when you talk about Kentucky players.
Solid.
But Caleb, I'll go right to you. James Young.
This one's tough for me because offensively he was solid. But that dude could not keep anyone in front of him to save his life.
Oh,
like I would go overall solid.
Yeah.
But I could be convinced to go anywhere below.
Yeah.
Other than flop, obviously. But
Dude,
I'll go overall solid.
Yeah, he was super solid on that team. I mean, the team that made that stupid, crazy run. Dude, he dunked on the whole UConn team. Like, that was sick. Probably one of the best dunks in Kentucky history. I mean, literally just 4 guys just right in their teeth muscles. Like, yeah, love James Young. But yeah, definitely overall solid. He could fill it.
I think he's a perfect fit for overall solid. Again, just a guy that kind of goes under the radar. Like if there was like an under the radar category, like he's number one. Like, yeah, like you could honestly, like if you were just talking to a novice Kentucky fan, they probably don't even really know a lot about James Young or if he was even on the team. So kind of crazy. Moving on to a guy that people in Kentucky and people all around the world are beginning to love, Immanuel Quickley. I mean, you want to talk about a float game? This guy's floater is absolutely spectacular. Caleb, right to you. Immanuel Quickley.
Solid. I mean, there's nothing you can really say that isn't already well known about him. Overall, solid for me.
Brad?
SEC Player of the Year ain't solid in my opinion.
Give me it. Campus legend, yes, sir.
Float me daddy. And the team, dude, everybody loves Immanuel Quickley. One of the nicest. He's probably the second nicest cat ever.
Yeah, Immanuel Quickley, I campus legend to me. I mean, if he had a tournament run, you could probably make the argument he's a UK legend. Just my opinion. But yeah, Immanuel Quickley, great kid, filled it up. Again, a kid that just put in the work. Freshman year wasn't all that great. Came back and doubled his minutes, doubled his production. Just a guy that I absolutely love.
Everybody told him to transfer.
Everybody did tell him to transfer. He averaged 5 points his freshman year, flipped it on its head, and averaged 16. SEC Player of the Year. A kid that just grinded. Was my favorite recruit coming into that class in 2018. And I was upset with his freshman performance, but came back and dominated. Love that kid. Moving on to Caleb's guy, Deron Lamb.
UK legend.
I'm just gonna slide it right to Caleb. Deron Lamb.
Like you with Terence Jones, he's obviously he's one of my favorite players. I think what he did for that championship team goes unnoticed sometimes. Like he was our second ball handler, hit big shots for us as well. I mean, if he was taking a shot, you were pretty confident it was going in. So I would throw him in campus legend, but that's just because I absolutely loved him. But more than likely, he's probably going to end up in overall solid, and I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, overall solid. I mean, he was a guy we needed 3-point shooter on that team, and my God, did he do it? What 50% from the three?
I dropped 112 points with him on 2K his rookie year because I absolutely loved him, bro.
Dude, he stroked it, man.
Got retweeted by him and everything. I freaked out.
Just a great fellow. Deron Lamb. Again, I watch a lot of Terence Jones film. Just to remind again, and Deron Lamb, I mean, he kind of stole the show in spots for me. I was like, wow. Like Deron Lamb was. I forget how
that team was so good for no reason.
Good.
And we were only playing 7 guys.
So good. They were just fun to watch. Deron Lamb, I think he's a perfect fit for overall solid. Moving on to Julius Randle. Julius Randle.
You just boo.
I said Jew.
Big part of that run that we've talked about, the 8th seed in the tournament. Their team just was stuck in the mud, it seemed, until they found a way. I mean, 15 points, 10 rebounds on his career at Kentucky, 51% from the 2-point line or from inside the 3-point line in his college career. I mean, that's unbelievable. Fred, I'll pass it right to you. Julius Randle.
Yeah, I mean, he had that dog in him. He's another one of them pit bulls. I'm gonna say campus legend in my opinion.
Wow.
I think he was the best player on that team, and he showed why at times he would take over games. And at points, I didn't think anybody could guard him, especially
Troy. Where are you gonna go?
I think he's a perfect overall solid candidate, but I think that run was just so special that I can see where you would want to slide him into campus legend. But personally, I would slide him into overall solid.
I'll go overall solid. He's got. Can we be honest? He had a very ugly game. Like it was just get his head to the put his head down, get to the rim, throw it up at the rim, and just get 3 offensive rebounds before it finally went in. You know what I mean? Ugly game, but it was solid and
it worked, man.
Shot 50% from the field too. Julius Randle. I mean, get downhill, go get yours, brother. Moving on to Isaiah Jackson, a little weirdo here. Fred, I'll go right to you.
Underutilized for sure. I mean, he was probably the one bright spot on that terrible team. Elite athlete, great defender, and I wish we had him any other year but that year. But I really like Isaiah, and I think he showed flashes even last year in the pros how good he can be. Again, really wish we had him another year, but Isaiah Jackson's great. I thought he's elite, again, athlete, defender, super long, just unfortunate circumstances for him.
Yep. Underutilized. Like, I don't know if he had any of the basketball skill to do, like, to be somewhere else and do that. I would go role player just because he's like a Marcus Lee. I wish Marcus Lee was on this list now looking back at it, but
I love
Isaiah Jackson for me is role player.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I go with the role player as well. I was really, really high on Isaiah Jackson. And that team was just awful, and he was fun to watch, almost 3 blocks a game. So I could see underutilized, but probably better suits him as a role player. And a guy that he got consistently compared to when he committed was the next guy, Anthony Davis, UK legend. And once he leads the Lakers to a championship this year, he'll be a Laker legend. But anyway, Anthony Davis, my guy. I love me some Anthony Davis. I think he's one of the most hated people for no absolute reason. Anyway, I'm not going to get on another rant, I promise. But Anthony Davis, my guy, a champion, absolute stallion, just an unbelievable player at Kentucky. Caleb, I'll go to you about Anthony Davis.
Nothing I can't. Nothing you can add. Just a phenomenal, one of the most dominant college basketball players we've ever seen.
Yep, best defender in college basketball history.
Yeah, I mean, Chi-Town stand up. You got another great Anthony Davis. I mean, that dude was unbelievable. Now switching gears to a guy that I wouldn't say was unbelievable, but a guy that again stuck it out at Kentucky, put in the work, and seemed to get his footing later on in his career. Fred, I know how much you love your guy Nick Richards, so I'll send this right to you.
Dude, I mean, a guy who just freshman, sophomore year, everybody was hard on him, came in junior year, absolutely tore it up, man. He was just wanted that team to get a tournament run, man. And he was so good. And, he was even in talks for SEC Player of the Year. And
yes, he was.
That's just how great he played. I'm going to say overall solid. He's really close. I love him so much, but I would definitely say overall solid, especially the way his career ended on such a high. Just incredible athlete. And he just was raw when he was a baby gazelle, and he turned into a full-grown gazelle.
Caleb?
I would go more towards role player. I just like his first year. I absolutely hated watching him.
Yeah, but look how good he got, man.
I know, but you got to put into consideration that first year. So I would go top a role player just because he did develop and became a lot better. But I just think overall solid. Like his entire career, was it overall solid? Not really.
Yeah, dude, this one's hard for me. I'll slide him in role player as well, just because I think that overall solid. I mean, you look at the names in there outside of Dominique Hawkins. I mean, you got some really, really good players in there. So I would slide him to role player. And then a guy that's, Archie Goodwin. Really, really weird year that was. So, Fred, I'll go right to you. Archie Goodwin.
Underperformed, I guess. I wouldn't call him a flop because I kind of liked him a little bit.
He had exciting.
Dude, he's a stupid athlete, just on a terrible team. I think he's cool. I really like.
Who all was on that team? It was
Julius
him
Mays.
and Terence. Julius Mays. Oh my God. Was it Ryan Harrow? Was that
yeah,
team?
dude, Ryan Harrow. Yeah, it was
Nerlens.
so bad.
Was that Nerlens?
Yeah, Nerlens.
Yeah, it's such a weird.
Hey, where's Nerlens on the list, man?
No, he got hurt. He got hurt.
We gotta save some names for. We're gonna do a second video for this. All the names that are left off of this one.
Yeah, but yeah, I would definitely say underperformed.
Yeah, I like it. I liked his game. That team sucked. I liked him. There was some parts of his game that obviously needed a lot of work, but he was a really good athlete. Yeah, underperformed fine with me.
Yeah, I'd slide him underperform. Now, Boogie Cousins. Just a guy that was super fun to watch. A little bit of a head case at Kentucky.
Yeah, head case, period.
But Caleb, we'll slide it right to you, Boogie.
I'm between UK legend and campus legend. I think the UK legend, you got to look back at part of that exciting class. The Call Me that was going, that was when he blew up. His game winner was that in the SEC tournament where
Call Me
was that what right?
He tied it up.
I was about to say, yeah, he just tied it up. They acted like it was a game winner. They piled on him.
Call Me. That was
like
so
that.
sick, dude.
The Call Me. I'll go UK legend.
I'd go campus legend.
I too would go campus legend.
He's almost there.
Yeah,
I mean, dog.
Yeah, I don't think he's on the category.
Dog, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't think he's in the category of some of those UK legends we have up there, but I would put him just a tick below at the campus legend.
Well, another guy who shows Kentucky a lot of love too. Like Kentucky fans just love DeMarcus Cousins, and I love DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, I like DeMarcus Cousins a lot. Moving on to a fellow that found his way on this list, DeAndre Liggins.
I'm so glad you added DeAndre Liggins.
Dude, he's so sick. He gets so he does not
Caleb,
get love.
You say that, so you take this, brother.
Was he the year before Cal?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a Billy guy.
He came his freshman year. It was a little rough. Obviously, it's the Billy Gillespie, but I would say this one's tough for me because I really like DeAndre Liggins for reasons I don't know if I can really explain. I just really loved him. I would go bottom of overall solid.
Yeah,
I think just because when you're he's playing alongside highly top recruits. I think he did what he needed to do and did it pretty well and found a solid career in the NBA for a few years.
Yeah, defensive stopper. I mean, he was an incredible defender. I would definitely go real solid as well.
I would too. Just, I mean, there's not too much you can add to him. Just a guy that he started a lot of games for Kentucky. So shouts out to him on a really, really good team, I might add.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to a guy to me that is an absolute campus legend, Willie Cauley-Stein. He has one of the most memorable dunks I can ever imagine or remember at Florida. I mean, that dunk was just unbelievable. And he was just so much fun. He embodied, like I talked about DeAndre Hawkins, kind of just his presence. That's kind of how I felt with Willie. Just a guy that, like, he just seems so joyous about the game of basketball, about being at Kentucky. He played with such an edge. He would dunk and tear the rim off and then stare people down, mean mug them, do a little side smirk thing. I just love Willie. Campus legend to me. And I'll pass it over to you, Fred.
Yeah, campus legend for sure. He literally said he's going to go dunk on everybody, and he literally went and dunked on everybody. So a guy who improved every single year, worked himself into a really high draft pick, and really embodied what being a Kentucky basketball player meant. And he's so beloved here.
I think you hit it on the head. Got better every year. I think he was with the Archie Goodwin class. His freshman year, a little rough. He was like a Nick Richards, where it's like he was really raw.
Baby giraffe.
He just kept getting better and getting better. Nothing skill-wise really stood out. Just a phenomenal athlete, and I loved Willie Cauley-Stein. Campus Legends completely fine with me.
Yeah, it's carved his way into a top 6 pick in the draft.
So he was getting talks for like Player of the Year that 2014. Like, I mean, he was only averaging like 8 and 3. You know what I mean?
Did he win it that year?
I don't think so.
No, he won SEC tournament MVP.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, and Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, I knew he won a major award. I just couldn't remember which one.
Yeah.
I think Doug McDermott probably won it that year or something.
Moving on to Tyler Hero, just a fun guy. I'm going to pass this over to you, Fred.
Overall solid for sure. Definitely didn't shoot the three that as well as we needed him to, but I mean he showed other facets of his game, and obviously that worked his way into a lottery pick. And another guy who's super beloved here. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. He's a white guy, so people loved that we had a white guy that was good. Just being honest.
I would argue Tyler Hero is not actually white, but nonetheless.
Yeah, super solid. He did a lot of good things for that team, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And he another guy with that dog in him.
Caleb?
I agree. He was exciting to watch. He's got that attitude. He's got that dog in him, and can score the basketball. So,
yep. I'm not even going to add anything. I wasn't a huge Tyler Hero guy, but I'm glad he chose Kentucky because he got to showcase his talents and carve his way into some really good money for his future. So now moving on to Tyrese Maxi, a player that I believe you could make an argument he was underutilized. But Caleb, I'll slide this to you. Tyrese Maxi.
I want to hear Fred's argument. And you say underutilized. I want to hear what Fred has to say.
Yeah, I would say underutilized as well. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go overall solid. He's right on that line of campus legend. I mean, another guy that Kentucky fans really, really liked, and again, I think even would have been even more beloved if they got that tournament run. But I mean, he made big shot after shot here. You know, after that loss to Evansville, like he was one of those guys who really just locked it in, and we just went on a crazy run in the regular season and just started beating everybody. So I love Tyrese Maxi. He's a kid who played with the biggest smile on his face. So I have so much love for him.
I'd go overall solid as well. Big, like you said, big shot after big shot. That's what stands out to me for Tyrese Maxey. Underutilized, like I guess I understand it too, but I feel like what he did at UK, he would probably do anywhere else. Just he would have more shot attempts somewhere else.
Yeah,
so.
I gotcha. So now moving on to probably, I'm pretty sure he's ranked one of the highest recruits in UK history. Scalabrine. I'll pass it over to you, Fred.
Flop. Number 2 ranked player in that class. We needed him to be great next to Murray and Ulis, and he just wasn't. I could not stand Scalabrine. I mean, I liked him. I love all UK players. They're my kids, but this one got on my nerves, and just I didn't even see a slight bit of potential. Like this kid was just not good at Kentucky at all. Isaac Humphries was better.
Caleb?
Flop. I hated Scalabrine.
We all did.
Fred, I'm glad you're a good guy and you love all UK players. I hated Scalabrine.
I mean, I love if you put that UK blue on, you're my kid, you're my child.
Nah.
Yes, flop.
Yeah.
Moving on to, I believe, the only current UK player I put on here.
You can let
Oscar Tshiebwe.
So this is interesting, and I knew Fred was going to go there. I think the argument we made with the team preview this year is if they win a championship this year, I think he's top of the top UK, like was second, third, I would say third UK legend all time behind John Wall and Anthony Davis. I think right now, you know what? Now I guess I agree. UK legend. I was going to go campus legend just because I feel, like the numbers obviously last year and all the awards last year, but obviously getting, beat that early. I don't know. Troy, where are you going to go?
I would go campus legend because I think that, obviously there are a few names on that UK legend that didn't, win a championship. But this is a hard one. I'd go UK legend. I'd go UK legend.
I was going to agree with you on campus legend, honestly. I just think like if you look back 5 years from now, and I think people are still going to look back at Anthony Davis more beloved than they are Oscar unless Oscar wins that championship. Then if Oscar wins one this year, he's the top dog.
Yeah.
I think personality-wise, though, I think UK fans for the next 20 years are going to be talking about Oscar.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think his stardom goes beyond basketball, and that's why I think he's a UK legend. And
there we have it. The entire tier list. There you see it. I think this was a phenomenal thing that we just did. I think that, obviously you can make the argument for a few here or there. But, what do you guys think of the list now looking completely at it?
We've had a lot of great players come through here. We have been blessed.
Yeah, I love this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
This was an incredibly fun video. And again, we do have lives coming up for this year's team. And maybe in a couple of years, we'll redo this and we will have a few more names on there. And maybe, just maybe, Oscar Tshiebwe will be the number 1 UK legend after he hangs banner number 9 this year. Maybe, just maybe. You guys got anything to add?
No, sir. Super excited.
Super, super excited. Fred, get us out of here.
Yeah, man. Super excited for this team coming up this year. Stay tuned. Wednesday, August 10th. UK starts out in the Bahamas tour, and we will be live at 7 p.m. Eastern time to check out the action. But yeah, super excited that we got to make this list. We see some great guys on here, and we are a blessed fan base. So shouts out to you, Cal. Thanks for recruiting all these cats. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like it up. Troy, Caleb, thank you guys so much for being a part of the X Factor Nation. We will see you guys next time. Don't be a star. Don't be a superstar. Change the game. Be an X Factor. We love you guys. God bless. And peace out.